Quick and dirty Python. So what's the deal? The deal is that I really hate Python, but I still want to make a few videos to just mock it. And the videos will be rare, like every 2 weeks maybe. But it's a really good opportunity to actually hate on this language. Maybe together, maybe I'm alone in this battle with the wind, but whatever. So in this series, quick and dirty Python is just a very quick and dirty way of learning Python, doing very simple tasks, and I will show you a few tricks you can do to make it a bit easier. And everything will be on my GitHub, so you can look at the code, you can look at these lists, and maybe try to do it yourself, or look at my solutions, or hate on these solutions if you wish. So the first task is a guessing game, and you can read it on your own, but it's basically generating a number between 1 and 9 and then guessing and returning false or true. So it's just a simple function, and so this really well shows how functions are defined in Python. So in the very top we import random because we need a random integer. And then we define the function. So we use the def keyword, but what I want to talk more is about this, which is called the function signature. So, well, the entire thing is the function signature, but here I want to recommend setting explicit types. So I set that the input type is an integer, so n is an integer, and then with this arrow, I indicate the return type, which is bool. This helps a lot in programming, even for yourself, because you know exactly, maybe, because Python doesn't have types. So you don't know, you don't really know what type a variable is. And when you pass it to this function with your signature, you will get an error if it's the wrong type, and then you will know what has happened instead of doing some very random shit. So, and the rest is basic Python conditionals. This is, if you know programming in any other language, this should be very intuitive. So you will accept this. Random is a scope, well, a scope is a module, but to get a function from a module, you use a dot. For some reason, you don't use any other syntax, so you could treat modules as an object, and then this is an associated function in this object, which takes its input. So you can read it in the documentation, I think. Oh, here. So this is how Python modules are defined. Really shitty, I guess. But here you would have to read the documentation how to do randint and get this. Another thing, you don't really need to read documentation because ChatGPT knows really well how to program in Python. These all tasks were made by me, but some things when I struggled how to do it in Python, I just gave it to ChatGPT. It knows really well how to do Python because it's so shitty that AI does it better than humans, quite literally. Because for me it's counterintuitive, or maybe it's too intuitive for a programming language, and that's why. But it's very shit. And ChatGPT knows it very well, so when in C or C++, I would say don't use ChatGPT ever because it doesn't really understand programming. When it comes to Python, ChatGPT actually solves a lot of problems you give it using Python, and then it just prints you the result. You don't see. Well, I've recently seen the code used because ChatGPT returned the code it used to answer my question, which is why probably ChatGPT is the best Python programmer as of now. And please, if you are learning Python to do something useful, don't do it. Or maybe do it if other people tell you to, but not out of your own. Okay, then next we have if the number is even or odd, and really that's all I got in the original list. I made it a bit more clear to write a program which will print true or false, and this is so easy. It's again a function definition and an input. You interpret the input as an integer and then you print if it's even. Also, one cool thing, apart from the function signature, why I talk about this? Because it's really documenting your code. And for example, in my case, I tend to forget what I wrote a day earlier and then I come back and then what is happening. This function signature helps me, but also you can use a comment. So this here is a function comment, let's say a documentation comment. So if I were to write some code and then I use this function, so is even, and you can see on the left, I get returns true when n is even, false otherwise. It's exactly the same as here. I don't know if there's any advanced programming, but LSPs, Python LSPs interpret this, and I don't know what Python does with these quotes, that it's a comment to a function, so you can comment a function, just like here. You have, I don't know if it's done exactly the same way, but you can read this and know what this function does, like here also. And then, so this is another way, but you don't really need to do this unless you are programming with other people, collaborating. You can say more about what the function does. But for personal use, I think it's enough to just specify the parameter type and the return type, and that's all. I think you will know what is going on. Then let's go quickly to the next one because it's a quick and dirty Python. A Christmas tree, a very classic task. This time done fully ChatGPT because I couldn't be bothered to think. I only removed the comments and typed and enter Christmas tree height. So here we have IJK because Fortran, I suppose. And that's it. And because it's void, I don't know if Python actually has a void type. It doesn't. And probably this. Oh, this is the void type in Python. So you can specify this to be a void type, but I won't do this. So here it's a simple Christmas tree. You calculate the height and you iterate. I won't elaborate on this more because this is a very classic programming task and you have done it for sure before. Okay, now let's talk about the next one. It's reverse string and you can read it on your own, but it's about printing the string backwards and inverting the numbers. So it's mapping the numbers 0 to 9, 1 to 8, and for example 9 to 0. How did I do it? So the mapping of the numbers I left to ChatGPT because why not? And everything else is quite intuitive actually for Python. So I defined a function which maps the numbers. So it takes a character, and then if it's a digit, it does the mapping specified. It also returns it as a string because Python doesn't really have characters, or maybe it does, but I don't understand it. And then, and this is the conversion. So I take 9 and subtract the integer, which is made from the character, and I know I'm passing a single character because here I have a for loop on the reversed string. So S is an input, and then I reverse the input. It's an iterator. If you want to know more about iterators, I don't know, read it on Google or ask ChatGPT what are iterators. This is basically automatic loops, mostly automatic for loops, but this is a very oversimplified example. But anyway, you have here a reversed string, so C is a character in that reverse string. Then you print the mapped number. So either the number will get mapped, so this is how we do it. So if C is 0, then 9 minus 0 is 9. If C is 1, then 9 minus 1 is 8, just exactly like specified in here, reverse string 1 to 8. Then if it's not a digit, we just return the character back, so like an echo. This way I don't need to do a lot of logic inside the print statement, so I just print the reverse string with the mapping. One thing which is quite disturbing that Python doesn't give you very good control over printing. Of course, the format strings are a nice thing in this language, but you get you don't get really print or print line. Everything is a print line, so you have to specify that the ending character is there is no ending character like here, and then this empty print prints a new line. And so I think it's the first thing we can check if it works. So let's take this task, and it has book 1 to 9, 8 cob. So let's see. And let's do book 1, and it is 8 cob. Let's do lamp 81, maybe not, lamp 97, 20 pmal. So it works, but I think this is the first program I had to show proof. Then we have a number checker. Actually, an interesting thing here. Also, there will be a nice YouTube video about this. Maybe I will even record it now, right after this video, because I have done something interesting. It's basically a combination of what was previous. So if the number is even or if the number is prime, and it solves a quadratic equation specified here using the quadratic formula. And here we have the way the output should be formatted. So this is the first like serious task we get. And so let's go to the top. First, I asked ChatGPT how to check if a number is prime in Python, and I got a SymPy library with the import isPrime, so it provides a nice function. And this is mostly the case with Python. Not everything you want to do is in the library. No need to make your own functions, unless it's, for example, the isEven function with the casting this modulo to boolean, because modulo is already included, so checking for evenness is very easy. And so then we have the solve equation. So it is as simple as it gets. We get the coefficients a, b, and c, then we get the discriminant b squared minus 4ac, and then we get roots r1 and r2 with addition and subtraction of the square root of the discriminant over 2 times a, so a quadratic formula, and then we return a tuple. So this is what ChatGPT gave me, and I just copied and pasted. Now I've noticed it should be -5, not -6. And then I have a run function. So I really, for more complicated programs, I really want a main function. I don't know how to do it in Python yet. So I just made a run function, then here down the bottom I did an input and then ran the input. So here it's very easy. First I check if it's less or equal to 0, and then return void, of course, and then print an invalid input, and then I run the checks. So if it's even, and then I nicely format it using even the same variable, because Python has something as shadowing. So isEven returns boolean. So here at this point even is a boolean, and then here I can change even to be a string. I don't know if it still would work without the else statement, but probably yes, because Python is interpreted so it doesn't have to know the type beforehand. So here I just shadow the previous variable with a new one with the same name but type of string. This is important for the formatting later. Then the same I do with the prime function, which I have imported. And then here I write two variables and solve equation. Why? Because solve equation is returns a tuple. So here I destructure the tuple to R1 and R2. And then I run some code to make the formatting possible. So if it's the same for R1 and R2, but if R1 has no imaginary part, then I set it to just the real part to be a float, or even better, if the real part is an integer, I set it to be an integer. That's just for formatting purposes, and it's the same for R2. And then I'm printing the formatted output. So with the f and then the string, you specify a format string. And so you can use these braces to put variable names inside, and they will be printed inside a string. So I will save this, and we will run maybe on some number. List1 number checker. I forgot. So we won't run it because I do not have SymPy installed on this system. This is the thing with Python. Python has libraries. And the way you install them, at least on Linux or maybe on Windows also, use pip. But I do not have pip installed. No pip in my on my system, because on Gentoo you use emerge. So if I emerge dev python sympy, so as you can see, it exists and it pulls also all the dependencies needed, but I don't need sympy at all. Well, I used it just to make this task. I didn't even install it, I just believe it works, and this is the way you program in Python. You just need to know the name of the library. So yeah, I think I will now quickly implement my own prime function, and we will be able to check if it works. Alright, so in the another program that I have made for a video, I have the same program with my own prime function implemented, and everything is the same. So we will now run it. Well, almost the same. The function returns a string, not a tuple, so it is formatted inside the function. Anyway, we can now run it and see it will work. And let's run it on number 4. And it also works with imaginary numbers, so we have complex roots, and it nicely works. So 4 is even, it's not prime. Maybe we try 5, which is prime, it's odd, and it also gives these weird solutions. We can also check 6, and 6 also gives nice solutions. It's not prime, it's even. So everything works as intended. Next we have a division program, and this is about teaching binary numbers. And actually this one was fully ChatGPT for me. I just copy and pasted the task. But I mean, I have learned from this. I don't know about other people, but I even don't mean to learn Python well. I just want to do basic tasks with it. And so let's take a look at the code. So it takes a sample, takes an input as a string, as a comma separated list of numbers in binary format, and then prints the divisible by the numbers divisible by 5. So with division, here we get an input, and then for every number in the input, so I split the input with commas so that I get every number. Then I strip. So strip removes trailing and leading white spaces from the number. So I get the number as a string, and then here it checks if every character, yeah, so for, wait, how it works? So it's some another weird Python iterator stuff, but if a character is either 0 or 1, so it may be a string, so it would be even to use it like this. It could also be a table of characters, but Python doesn't have such a thing as a character literal. But it basically, if a character is in either a 0 or 1 for every character in n, so if all characters in n are either 0 or 1, we run this code, and else we print that it's an invalid input. And then I have a print as the last one to put a new line after this script. So what it does, we assign a new variable, which would be an integer in base 2. So we construct an integer from n base 2. So we give it a string representing a binary number, and then it gets translated into an integer type, which then we can use the modulo operator. So if this number is divisible by 5, we print the number, and we print back the string format of the binary. I could also maybe print this and format it as a binary, but I don't know how to do this. And so that is this program here. Very, very simple. And as the very last one, we have a Scrabble score calculator, and it's absolutely awful, zero elaboration, and I just copy and paste the original. I just added hyperlinks. So we have to write a Scrabble game score calculator according to the Scrabble rules. So perfect for this was a scores dictionary or a map. So here we have a map full of letters and their mappings. I actually did it using another script, so that's why it's not alphabetical. But what it matters that it has 26 characters. We can see here 1 to 26, so every character is a part of this dictionary, so it's exhaustive over the Roman alphabet. And then we have a function which counts the score. So I take a string, word as a string, and then it takes a multiplier which is by default 1. So it also, I think it also doubles as as an indication that it is a integer. I don't actually know how to set a default value and also specify a type, and it returns an integer which is the score. So value is the score, and then we take every character in word and we add the score for this character. So scores C, so it's like an array, and you take the key, which is so this is the key and this is the value. So we retrieve the key C and we get a value of 8, for example, and so we add 8 to our score. And then at the end we multiply it by a multiplier. By default it's 1, so it doesn't change anything. If it's 2 or 3, then it multiplies the score by 3. Then we have the input. So I have experimented a little. The input format is a comma separated, 2 words separated by a comma. So it could be something like, I don't know, chair, comma, double, like this. And this would be an example input. So what I do, I split it with the commas, and then I check for length. I don't know why this is, well, I know why, but I use this to shit on Python why length is like a universal function on everything, not on specific objects only, but whatever. I use it like this, and I didn't give a shit. So if the length is 1, then we do not have any multiplier, so we just pop the word and then strip and put it to lowercase, and then we count. So very simple. Then if the length is bigger than 1, then we take the multiplier from the end, so pop takes the last element, we strip it, so maybe someone put some white spaces, and then we compare it. If it's double, then we set multiplier to 2. If it's triple, we set to 3, and in every other case, if it's some unknown word or something else, it's 1. And then we take word, so if we popped the last one, it's no longer there, so the last one is now the word to calculate. So we pop it, we again strip, put to lowercase, and count it with the multiplier, and we get the result. So we can also test this. Sorry. So we can do Python list1 Scrabble calc, and let's actually do chair double, and it's 20. I don't actually want to calculate it now, but it works. It returns a number. And so that would be all for Python, for this quick and dirty Python first video out of, I think 6 in total, or 7. I don't know. I don't know yet. Maybe I will give up at some point, but everything here will be on GitHub, so I can git add all, and then git commit. Okay, so we are on GitHub, so now I will pull quick and dirty Python repository. So here it is. This is the repository on GitHub, so you can go here. The link, no, I can't put links in YouTube. I won't be giving out my ID to support. So no link, but it's on my GitHub account. So you can go lysolaka QDPython, and we have list1, so all the solutions are here. And the tasks list is also here, nicely formatted, so you can read it in your own time. And here you have the actual links, how to play Scrabble if you don't know. And well, that would be it from me for this video. The next one will be about quick and, well, slow and dirty Python, but you will see when it comes out.